Hello and welcome to this video in which I'll be giving you my thoughts on Nordsk Melodi Grand Prix 2024. I've not listened to any of the songs yet. I know Kino are back and Alessandra teased being back with Narcissist but isn't. Apparently the person who also represented Norway in 2013 is back. Margaret, if I remember correctly, because the Danish queen just abdicated and she's also called Margaret. That's my way of remembering that. I'm excited! MGP always has a high quality. The slight issue / worry is always that they allow autotune and Eurovision doesn't. So even if someone wins MGP and has an excellent performance, the question becomes whether they can actually sing the song live. But as it's such a high standard, it's not as much of an issue for me as places like maybe San Marino or Poland. I'm excited to listen to songs and I will get back to you once I've listened to all 18 songs and I'll give you my top 18, all of the songs ranked. I've listened to the songs now and in all honesty, I was slightly underwhelmed, but maybe I'm listening to them on a bad day or something. And I have a feeling that a lot of my rankings would change if I were to be able to see staging right now. I'm not convinced I'll have the time to do a video once all the national finals come about. Just based on songs alone, I was a bit underwhelmed. There were quite a few genre smashing songs, which is maybe a result of Carrier or maybe a result of an potentially oversaturated music industry, I have no idea. And I also have a theory that maybe I'm being a bit underwhelmed because the songs are all good. They are all good. But there's also nothing that like stood out to me in like, wow, this is really amazing kind of way. I prefer Rim Team Taki Team to all of these songs, but the worst one from Dora is also worse than the worst one from here for me. Swings and roundabout. My theory is that maybe there's some kind of national final bombardment going on in my brain right now, that I don't usually listen to so many new songs at once. And at some point I just get desensitized, and if a song sounds good, it sounds good, and unless it sounds really bad or really amazing, it just kind of has no effect on me, maybe. Having said all that, there are some fun songs, and because they are all good, I decided I'd go through my entire top 18. But they're all good enough, because the 18th spot I'm not really a fan of, the 17th also not, but this from the 16th onward I'm pretty satisfied with them. Obviously would be happier if one of the ones that are higher up for me won MGP and went to Eurovision, but I'd live with the other ones. In my 18th spot I've got Waltz of Death from Mistra, which interestingly enough on YouTube is the only one that's uploaded as made for kids, so you can't even put it in a playlist. It's weird and the rock is cool. If there were two separate songs made out of it, the vocal and the instrumental separately, I think those would both be better songs. I can see how someone thought it might work. It doesn't for me though, unfortunately. In my 17th spot I've got Woman Show from Mathilde SPZ and a Chris and Slam Dunk. Once again, I can see why they thought this would work. It doesn't for me though. I find it a little bit cringy, if I'm being honest. I kind of feel like maybe as a society we're over this kind of song, maybe, I don't know. And I did find the cha-cha-cha in it a little bit tacky. I don't know that it really fits in the song, and I do wonder if it's been put there because of Carrier. If that's not the case, I sincerely apologise, but that's what it felt like to me in the moment listening to it the one time. So, but it is well produced, so I can't complain about that. But the song just doesn't work for me. And then the next song I would live with. So in my 16th spot I've got Judge Tenderly of Me from Anne Fagermo and Dag Erik Oxford. It's a little bit country and once again it's well produced, but to me it was just a little bit boring. But if it turns out that all of Eurovision are these super bombastic songs with all these special things, it could do pretty well if it does win MGP, because it's a breath of fresh air in comparison to the rest of it. And I like the end of it. The end was nice. In the 15th spot I've got Aya from Ingrid Jasmine, which seems to be one of the fan favourites on the app, but it didn't work for me. I couldn't find the lyrics, so maybe if I did understand Norwegian I'd prefer it. It's definitely an interesting mixture of sounds, and the end is fun. It sounds like there's space for a dance break, which I guess is the Chanel effect. I mean, I know Eleni Fourier did it, but we're just seeing quite a few of them this year, and there were a couple last year as well, so that's what I'm calling it, the Chanel effect. It could be interesting. Once again, all of these songs could be interesting. I do really think that my ranking could change about a lot with staging, but we don't have staging right now, So purely off of the songs, it's in my 15th spot. In the 14th spot, I've got Heart on Fire from Myra. Really well produced, kind of Disney sounding. I did enjoy it, but it felt too boring. It felt like there's nothing interesting in it, and it was too repetitive for me. But it's very professional, and it sounds good. I just couldn't find anything very special about it. In the 13th spot, I've got Stranded from Fredrik Halland. Once again, pretty basic. Nothing particularly special about it. Songwriter feel. Got really good production. I thought this production stood out to me. All the instruments in the background that you maybe don't really focus on, but it is pretty basic. It didn't sound like anything new. In the 12th spot, I've got Save Me by Anne Princess. The whistling was cool and the song overall was vibey, but also did just sound like generic modern pop, apart from the whistles. Once again, nothing that really stands out or above the crowd, which, as with Judge Tenderly of Me, could be a positive if the rest of the songs are crazy and wild and unconventional. Like what happened in 2014 when the Netherlands came second with a very basic song. In the 11th spot, I've got Touch of Venus by Ellie Kristen. Kind of dark pop, it's got a fantasy feel to it, and there's an operatic bit at the end, so it's somewhat interesting. But I feel like they have cool staging options with Touch of Venus, and it could very easily be a movie soundtrack. This one had a little bit of something interesting about it, thanks to the opera. In the 10th spot, and I suppose getting 1 point from me because I am using my Eurovision scoreboard, is Ulveham from Gate. I don't know how to pronounce Norwegian, but that's the point. I like that it was not in English, and I like the sound of it a bit better than Aya. Got a very cool build, but the song overall is nothing really unheard of. Staging could go either way. Could be really cool fantasy, or it could just be the band playing it with some woodsy graphics in the background. So that's why it's staying somewhat low down, still in the bottom half. In the 9th spot, I've got Oblivion by Margaret Berger. Still nothing so special about the song. It felt like a mix of a techno and a ballad together, so I didn't really know what to make of it, but it sounds good. Just still, like most of these MGP songs, nothing so special to me. Like, yes, they're genre smashing, but they're not particularly interesting beyond that to me. In the 8th spot, I've got You're Mine by Milo. The lyrics are a bit creepy, but it's got a TikTok-y sound to it and a vampire-ish sound. Production is really cool, and I think it's a vibe. This song has very interesting staging potential, and I can't wait to see what happens with it, to be honest. Even if it doesn't go through to MGP's final, I'm very curious about this one's staging. In the 7th spot, I've got Goth Minister's We Come Alive. One of the only songs with a true music video. I was expecting more from it. It feels like all the pieces put together should be something better for me, but for some reason it still doesn't stand out, unfortunately. I'm so sorry to the MGP 2024 songs, but this is just what I'm feeling. Maybe it is on an off day, honestly. Because I can't believe that this is what I think about all of the MGP songs. The production was also good here, obviously. I think that's gonna be the case for all the songs in Norway. There was no production where I was like, oh, the music should have been quieter, or there's a beat missing here. Norway just knows how to produce their songs. In the 6th spot, I've got Heartache by Farida. It's funky and it vaguely reminds me of Alexander Rybak's Fairy Tale. I don't know why. Slightly lyrically, slightly because the strings come in at the end, but I wrote that down before the strings came in. And there's a little bit of techno-ish or disco polo sounding stuff. But it's definitely a vibe, and I did enjoy this one. Still nothing so special. But this one I would be pretty happy with if it went to Eurovision. In the 5th spot, I've got potentially the most interesting song, My AI by Super, Rob and Erica Norwich. I should have seen that a song like this was coming this year, to be honest. AIO sounds like it's from Old MacDonald, and that kept distracting me. I don't know if that's on purpose or not. It's really wild. I don't know how they're gonna pull it off at Eurovision if it does go through, because I have a sneaking suspicion this might win MGP based on Subwoofer 2 years ago, and Queen of the Kings also being a little bit in this kind of direction. It sounds simultaneously like Crazy Frog and also the original Barbie song by Aqua. Obviously a robot is called Rob. It's fun, it's definitely fun, but I can't tell right now if it's annoying or brilliant to me. I guess time will tell. I'm also curious if the like 3-meter robot is real or just CG, like if they're actually gonna have a 3-meter robot on stage, because that would be cool. But then what are you gonna do for the pre-parties? Can you bring a 3-meter robot around everywhere or across Europe? I don't know. Is it gonna be digital on the screens? What if a pre-party doesn't have screens? Where is the robot gonna be? If I had to bet money, I would bet this one would go through, most likely. In the 4th spot, I've got Green Lights by Mia. I did not expect to like it this much, but I do. It's pretty, and the violin is cool, and it's also very modern pop. Sounds a bit like Olivia Rodrigo and old Taylor Swift and whatnot, but it works. I really like the sounds of it. There's a little bit of wordplay, which I always enjoy, and overall this is one of the more normal songs that I like the most. In the 3rd spot, I've got Dam Digida by Kano. I was expecting a little bit more from this, I'm not gonna lie, because Spirit in the Sky is iconic, but maybe it's just iconic now, I don't know. I think the first time I listened to it I didn't quite get it, so there's potential. I do not know the names, but the guy with the hair has very little to do, from the sounds of it. It's intriguing and very well produced, but I don't know if I wouldn't find it annoying if it wasn't Kano, someone who we already know. So that's what's stopping me from putting it up in 1st place, I think. It definitely sounds fun and is great to chant along to. If I was betting money, this is the 2nd song I'd put down money on after My AI. But my favourites aren't the ones I think that are likely to go to Eurovision. So in the 2nd spot, I've got Take Me to Heaven by Thomas Jensen. Got a little bit of a Dua Lipa sound, but also simultaneously musical theatre, like it wouldn't be out of place in a play. Or in a musical rather, and it's very fun. I really enjoy it. The changing up with a little bit of spoken word here and there, and the bridge, it all works for me. Don't really know why, because it's not a band and it's not rock, but I believe, based on my Disney upbringing, I also have a kind of soft spot for musical theatre that a lot of other people don't share, so that could be why it's placed up so high. But it has become my 2nd favourite after the first listen. And another musical theatre-y song is in my 1st spot. It is Mer by Vidar Villa. I wasn't quite getting it without looking up the lyrics, but I did manage to find the lyrics of this one, and I really like it. I really do like it. The lyrics are very cool, of the time, right now, fitting, whatever. Sorry, I'm looking out at the snow outside. Very fitting for reacting to MGP. Let me find my trail of thought. I like that it's in Norwegian and it's got a slight Disney/musical theatre feel to it, but ultimately it's still pop enough. I would love for this one to go to Eurovision. I imagine it would land in my top 10 pretty easily, but I don't know how you can make the staging very interesting, and I think there are more out there songs competing in MGP that will probably go to Eurovision. But once again, as with many other national finals, this is a song that I might keep around in my playlists even after Eurovision 2024 season. I'm thinking of making a mega playlist of all the songs from the national finals that I enjoyed to then be able to look back on, because otherwise I will forget about a chunk of them, and I think that's sad. So a playlist should somewhat remedy that. Can't listen to the songs until the one for Eurovision has been chosen, so I don't break my 5 listens rule. At least it'll exist for middle of March once all the songs are released, or start of March after all the national finals, because the last few songs tend to be internal selection. Those are my thoughts on MGP. I'm very curious about the stagings because, as I said multiple times now, I think that will very much influence my thoughts on the songs. I'm very curious what other people think. Very broadly, I do not agree with the ranking on my Eurovision scoreboard. I guess I have a different music taste when it comes to these MGP songs, or maybe I am listening on a weird day because I was underwhelmed by most of them. That's what I think about the songs for Norway's MGP 2024 after one listen and with no stagings. Thank you ever so much for watching this video. I really do hope that you enjoyed it. I'll see you in the next one whenever that shows up in your feed. Bye! In the 3rd spot, I've got Tongue Twister. Very passing. Very fitting for no passend auf Deutsch.